Welcome back to Andersen Acres. Today we are going to make Parmesan pan rolls. I love these because they're really easy and they're delicious. We make sandwiches out of them all the time. The shaping method is a little bit different than most of the breads we have done. It's more similar to one of the breadstick recipes I did, the deep dish. So you can refer back to that recipe to see this shaping method again. But before we shape, we have to make our dough. We are going to be using our bread maker. You can do it by hand if you like. Just remember, if you're doing it by hand, instead of a quick rise or a bread machine yeast, you will use a traditional yeast and you will dissolve it in your water and your sugar first. So let's get started. We are going to do 1.5 cups of lukewarm water, but you don't want your water cold. You don't want to kill your yeast. Then we want 1 cup of rolled oats. These pan rolls are excellent with the rolled oats in them. It gives them some texture. Very nice. Then we are going to get 3 tablespoons of butter. You can use margarine if you like. I'm using butter because that's what I always use. You're going to want 1/4 cup of sugar. That sounds like a lot, I know, but remember we are doing more water and more flour than what we are normally doing. And we're not putting any salt because we do want this dough a little bit sweeter because the topping is very savory. Now we're going to do 4 cups of white flour, and we're going to see if I can do this without spilling anything, which is not typically the case because 4 cups is a lot for me to dump without incident, and I think I can do it. No, I missed. Not a big deal. We just missed a little bit. Not a big deal. Just got a little bit on the mat. That's fine, no big deal. Little spilled flour never hurt anyone. So after our 4 cups of just regular flour, all-purpose flour, we're going to do 2 heaping teaspoons. Yes, 2 heaping teaspoons of yeast. I'm using a bread machine yeast because I'm using the bread machine. You can also use a quick rise, or again, you can make this by hand using traditional yeast. We're going to pop this in the bread maker, or if you're making it by hand, you will mix it and knead it, or use your mixer to mix it for you. It doesn't matter. But we're going to pop this in the bread maker. It'll take about 90 minutes until it has finished its first rise. Then we will come back and we will look at the dough. Remember, you must complete your first rise before you move on to shaping. All right, so our Parmesan pan dough has risen up the first time. So we're going to just squish air out of it. Okay, just so that we know that we don't have a lot of air bubbles because we don't want a lot of air bubbles. While we're doing that, we're going to kind of pull it into a rectangle just to get started. Because we are going to need to put it in a rectangle. These are pan rolls. We don't shape them individually. Here's where we start our fun, unique way of shaping. Just push your dough. Not a big deal. Easy to do. Try to keep it the same thickness roughly. It's not really that important as long as you don't have a lot of difference. Just give it a shot. So then, as we let this relax for a minute, we are going to get a cake pan. I'll just turn the camera so you can see the cake pan. There we go. Cake pan. So, with our cake pan, we are going to use just a canola oil cooking spray. Okay, we're just going to coat our pan just because we do not want sticking. I'm using glass. I prefer glass for this. I mostly use glass or silicone. I don't really use metal very much. Here and there, sure, but not for cake pans. I don't like metal cake pans. So that is our pan prepared. That's all you do to prepare the pan. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to do any cornmeal. So then what we're going to do, stretch this out again, lift this, put it right in there. Squish it right into place. Squish. Lots of squishing. Now, we're going to ignore this. We're going to set this aside and we're going to wait for about 90 minutes for this to fluff up. So just give it a push if the edges are too high. So there we go. There we go. So now we're ready. We're just going to set that aside for an hour and a half and we will come back when it has risen. All right, so our Parmesan pan bread has risen up. But set that aside for a second. We need to make the topping. The topping will be about 6 tablespoons of melted butter, about a heaping tablespoon of Parmesan. The shredded works better than the grated. The Sorry, the powdered works better than the shredded this time. So we're going to use the powdered. Then you're going to do the next 3 herbs to taste. I would tell you to do about half a teaspoon if you're not sure, but I'm always going to do more than that with garlic, but about half a teaspoon is probably sufficient. That's garlic powder. Then we have oregano, and again, you want about a half teaspoon. You can go more if you like. So about half a teaspoon of oregano. Mix that in. And then we have basil. We're going to do a half teaspoon of basil or thereabouts. You can do more or less, whatever your heart desires. So there's no, you can also change the herbs. You could do dill instead. You could do sage and rosemary, whatever you like. But make sure you use butter. You cannot use margarine for this. Now we need salt and pepper. So this is a little bit of pepper. You don't need too much pepper. I'm probably doing 1/8 of a teaspoon, not even. You don't want too much pepper. And salt, same deal. You don't want too much. But to taste, right? You want to do it to taste. So now that that is mixed, set that aside for a moment. We can't bake it like this. You simply can't do that. Okay? Not possible. So we are going to use, this is our dough scraper, but we're actually using it as a cutter today like I usually do. So you're going to take it and you want to go, you can either go this way or this way. I'm actually going to go this way first, but you just take it, find a good angle. I'm going to go right there, push down, straight up, okay? Straight down, straight down. We're going to make diagonal lines. Try to keep them equidistant, but you know, it's not that important because you're just eating them. 2. Now we're going to turn this like that, and we're going to make cross hatches the other way. So we're going to go this way, then we're going to go this way. See, nice diamond pattern. Isn't that pretty? Now you want to push straight down. You do not want to twist. Straight down, straight back up again. Okay, we're not getting too fancy. Straight down, straight back up again. Otherwise, you'll mess up your dough. Now, you've noticed they've deflated a little bit. That's okay. That is totally, totally okay. Now we're going to take our topping, and you can pour it on, you can drizzle it on. I'm going to do quite a lot of pouring because you want to use all of it. It's not going to be quite what you want if you don't use all of it. You can do whatever you like to get it on there. You could use your basting brush the entire time, whatever. It's up to you, as long as it all gets on there. So then you just use your basting brush to kind of move it around, make sure it gets everywhere. You want to wet the tops with the butter. Make sure it gets on all of the spots. Then we're going to bake this at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 to 30 minutes. Okay, so that looks really good. That looks perfect. It's ready to go in the oven. So it should be done in 25 to 30 minutes. They should be a nice golden brown on top. We will come back and see how they look when they're done. And there we have it, Parmesan pan rolls. They are delicious, and they baked for 30 minutes in my oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Give them a tap, should sound hollow. They need to sit about 10 minutes in the pan just so that everything solidifies, because you put melted butter on top. That's why they're delicious. They're so good. But let them sit about 10 minutes, then enjoy. I hope you enjoyed making Parmesan pan rolls with me today. Hopefully you'll do this at home. And we will definitely be baking more in the future. Don't forget to subscribe. Talk to you tomorrow.